Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're really digging into how artificial intelligence is making waves across different sectors, looking at the latest from around April 2025.
Yeah, we've got quite a mix today. Construction, finance, some deep ML research, education, even news media.
Exactly. And as always here on Neural Intel, our focus is really going to be on the technical nuts and bolts, the implications of the tech itself.
Right, extracting those key technical insights and looking at where things might be heading, rather than, say, the broader societal debates.
So let's kick things off with the construction industry. It seems like AI is really getting integrated there in some practical ways.
It does. We're seeing reports about AI being used in procurement, for instance, mostly for efficiency gains.
But also, interestingly, for things like detecting fraud and bid rigging.
That's a fascinating technical application, using algorithms to parse through huge data sets of bids and contracts.
Looking for anomalies.
Exactly.
Mm.
Spotting patterns that a human reviewer might just miss, things that suggest collusion.
But there's a flip side, isn't there? Harvard Business Review pointed out the risk.
Right. The same tools could potentially be used to enable collusion or, well, reduce competition, maybe hitting smaller firms harder.
A classic case of unintended consequences from a powerful tech. Okay, what about safety? We saw something about Shamat, that Boston construction firm.
Yeah, they're using AI software linked to workers' phones. It's about enhancing safety on the job site.
So real-time monitoring almost.
Kind of. It seems the idea is to use data from the devices to spot potential hazards or unsafe practices as they happen, allowing for quick intervention. It's proactive.
Makes sense. Moving up in scale, what about those huge mega projects like in the processing industry?
Right, those are incredibly complex. Hydrocarbon processing highlighted how AI can really help manage the myriad risks involved.
Through better algorithms and monitoring.
Precisely. Real-time data analysis to identify bottlenecks, predict issues. They even suggested the improvement could be exponential. It's like having a super analyst watching everything.
And it's not just prevention, but also recovery. Patrick Murphy from Coastal Construction mentioned AI for post-disaster rebuilding.
Yeah, think about something like after the wildfires in LA.
Huh?
AI could potentially speed things up dramatically.
How so?
Well, by quickly analyzing damage from, say, drone footage, optimizing resource allocation, logistics, even predicting material needs, it's about accelerating that whole complex process.
The money seems to be following too. Lumber, that AI workforce management platform, got 15.5 million in Series A funding.
That's significant investment. It shows the market sees real value in using AI to tackle those tricky workforce management challenges, scheduling, compliance, all that.
Okay, so there's this prediction we saw that 2025 is a big year for AI in construction. Why now? They mentioned multimodality, less data needed, and agentic AI.
Right, let's break that down. Multimodality just means AI that can handle different types of data together, like blueprints, text reports, sensor data, maybe even voice commands.
Okay, and reduced data demands.
That means models that don't need quite as much data to learn effectively. That's huge in construction, where getting clean, standardized data can be tough.
And agentic AI.
That's AI systems that can act more autonomously, maybe managing inventory levels or adjusting schedules on the fly based on site conditions, within certain rules, of course.
So smarter, more independent systems on site. This ties into smart construction, right? The idea isn't necessarily replacement, but augmentation.
Exactly. Given the skilled labor shortage and, the aging workforce, the focus is often on giving workers better tools, making them more efficient, safer, augmenting their skills.
Which brings us to predictive analytics for safety. The comparison was to GPS warning you about traffic.
Yeah, it's a good analogy. Instead of just reacting to accidents, you use historical data, real-time sensor feeds, maybe near-miss reports, and the AI predicts potential high-risk situations before they happen. It flags the danger ahead.
Very cool. Okay, let's pivot. Let's get into the core research. Apple presented a lot at ICLR 2025.
They really did. A strong showing across computer vision, core ML algorithms, and natural language processing. And they're sharing it, which is great for the field.
One thing that caught my eye was activation transport, or ACT, for controlling text-to-image generation.
Right. It's about getting really fine-grained control, like guiding the generation process more precisely. It uses optimal transport theory to tweak the model's internal activations.
And it works for text models, too.
Apparently so, it's modality agnostic. And the key is it doesn't add a huge computational cost, which is always a plus.
They also proposed DART, the denoising autoregressive transformer, an alternative to diffusion models.
Yeah, they're questioning if the step-by-step denoising and diffusion is always the most efficient path.
Mhm.
DART tries a different non-Markovian approach, blending ideas from autoregressive models and diffusion.
And the results.
They claim competitive image quality, potentially with better efficiency. It's an interesting alternative architecture.
What about using LLMs for decision making? Reinforcement learning without needing complex reward functions.
That's a really promising area. The idea is to leverage the huge amount of world knowledge baked into LLMs to guide policy learning in RL.
So the LLM sort of knows what a good outcome looks like.
Kind of. It potentially reduces the need for us to manually specify every single goal and sub-goal through reward engineering, which can be incredibly difficult.
And for LLM reasoning itself, particularly math, they have twisted sequential Monte Carlo, TSMC.
Right. Math needs step-by-step accuracy. TSMC is a verification method designed to help LMs find correct multi-step solutions more efficiently without needing step-by-step human examples during training.
They're also looking into instruction following and uncertainty estimation, crucial for trust, right?
Absolutely critical. You need models that reliably do what you ask, but also know when they don't know something or aren't sure. That's key for safe deployment.
Efficiency is still a big theme too. Smalltalk LM and cut cross entropy.
Yeah, training these huge models is costly. Smalltalk LM is about training a mixture of models, mostly independently, cutting down communication overhead. CCE tackles memory usage during the loss calculation step in training, which is a major bottleneck.
Making it possible to train bigger models on the same hardware.
Potentially, or just making current training more feasible. It's about optimizing those core training mechanics.
And finally, some fundamental work on attention and optimization, flash sigmoid, and a mix.
Right. Flash sigmoid is a sigmoid-based attention mechanism, an alternative to the standard softmax. They claim theoretical benefits and, importantly, a fast, hardware-aware implementation. They even released weights.
So others can test it easily. And a mix.
That's a tweak to the popular atom optimizer. It uses a mix of two moving averages of past gradients, aiming for faster convergence and maybe better generalization. Small changes, potentially big impact.
Okay, interesting stuff. Let's shift gears slightly and touch on what people are saying about AI companies. Based on some Reddit discussions we saw, Google's TPUs come up a lot.
Yeah, their internal reliance on tensor processing units. There's speculation about the energy efficiency and whether that early hardware investment gives them a big edge.
Especially for training and running their own large models like Gemini.
Right. And you see mentions of the supply chain complexity too. TSMC, the plants like the one in Phoenix. It all ties together.
People seem generally impressed with Gemini's capabilities, particularly the large context window.
Yeah, being able to process and remember long stretches of text is a major advantage for tasks like summarizing long documents, coding, or creative writing. We saw mentions of integrating it with tools like Obsidian for personal knowledge management.
But not all smooth sailing. Some mention rate limits and UI issues with Google AI Studio or Canvas.
That's typical, isn't it? Cutting-edge tech often comes with teething problems. User experience, access limits, these really affect practical usability, even if the underlying model is powerful. Canvas is their collaborative coding tool, right? It seems like feedback there is mixed too.
And comparisons to OpenAI often come up, maybe contrasting GPU limitations versus Google's TMIDI capacity.
It highlights the different hardware strategies and how that might play out in terms of model scale and accessibility.
And briefly, Grok was mentioned.
Ah, yes, Grok. They focus on specialized hardware for inference, running the already trained models, aiming for extremely low latency, super fast responses.
For applications where speed is everything. Okay, let's move to the financial system. The Bank of England put out a report.
Right. Looking at AI's potential impact on the UK economy, especially finance, they see big potential for boosting productivity, decision-making, services.
But their financial policy committee, the FPC, is naturally focused on stability risks.
As they should be. They're looking at the macroprudential side, how widespread AI use could create systemic vulnerabilities if not managed carefully. Ensuring safe adoption is the goal.
What are their main areas of concern?
Several key things. One, risks if many banks and insurers rely on AI for core decisions, especially if those AIs share common weaknesses in models or data.
Like everyone using the same flawed component.
Exactly. Two, AI in financial markets, advanced trading strategies, potentially leading to correlated herd behavior, or amplifying market shocks. What else? Three, operational risks from relying on just a few big AI service providers. If one goes down, it could have widespread impact. And 4, the changing cyber threat malicious actors using AI, plus new vulnerabilities created by AI systems.
They're also thinking about indirect effects, like how AI might change assessments of borrower creditworthiness.
Yeah, and the potential knock-on effects for lenders' credit risk. They're monitoring all this through surveys, industry groups like their AI consortium, market intelligence.
Still, they do acknowledge the potential upside, right? Significant productivity gains from generative AI in banking, insurance, capital markets.
Oh, absolutely. It's seen as a major potential driver for growth. The challenge is harnessing that benefit while managing the risks.
What specific technical challenges do they highlight in finance?
Things like the dynamism and sometimes the lack of predictability or explainability in complex AI models.
Mhm.
That's tough in a regulated industry.
And firms maybe not fully understanding vendor-supplied AI.
Yes, that partial understanding issue. Plus, the persistent challenges around data quality and potential bias in the huge data sets needed for training these models.
And they stress the system-level risk again. Even if individual firms are careful, common vulnerabilities can create macro problems.
Right, like reliance on the same open source libraries or cloud platforms. It links back to their overall focus on operational resilience for the whole financial sector.
So, ongoing work, collaboration with industry, identifying best practices, maybe evolving regulations down the line.
That seems to be the approach, an adaptive strategy for a rapidly evolving technology. Their definition of AI is broad, covering ML and generative AI.
Okay, let's switch to healthcare now. The
Yeah.
Darden report looked at opportunities and challenges there.
Another sector with huge transformative potential from AI. Diagnosis, admin efficiency, personalized medicine. The list is long.
One specific example was AI in virtual urgent care, doing initial patient assessment.
Yeah, asking questions, reviewing history, suggesting likely diagnoses before the human doctor joins the call. A study found the AI recommendations were often good, sometimes even better quality,
That's impressive. And they mentioned the AI was designed to be humble.
which is key. Knowing when not to make a judgment, when to defer to the human expert, that's crucial for safety and trust.
We also saw AI for clinical note-taking, like Microsoft's DAX Copilot, using ambient listening.
Right, automatically drafting notes from the conversation. This apparently boosts clinician satisfaction, less paperwork, and lets them engage more directly with the patient, tackling that burnout issue.
And it's filtering down into medical education, too. AI patient actors, AI for grading.
Yes, the whole landscape is changing rapidly. They're using AI to simulate patient interactions for communication practice, developing precision medical education dashboards to tailor student support.
And teaching prompt generation as a core skill.
Makes sense. Future doctors need to know how to interact effectively and critically with AI tools. But the report stressed, humans must remain responsible for the final decisions and verifying AI output.
So the overall message is, healthcare leaders need to be open-minded, embrace collaboration between academia and industry.
Pretty much. Foster partnerships to navigate this complex transition and make sure AI is implemented beneficially.
Okay, finally, let's touch briefly on AI and learning itself, and then look at AI in newsrooms. Filament Games highlighted the rapid pace of AI in education.
It's moving incredibly fast. And efforts are underway to broaden access to AI literacy, like OpenAI Academy becoming a free online hub.
Partnering with universities like Georgia Tech, Miami-Dade College.
Right, extending workshops, democratizing that foundational knowledge.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech held a public AI literacy event too.
And Microsoft's AI Skills Fest, a big open training push.
Yeah, aiming for mass participation, even a world record attempt for lesson completion. It shows the scale of the push to upskill people in AI.
Now, shifting to that study on Ibero-American newsrooms, it paints a, well, more cautious picture.
Definitely. Based on surveys across several countries, it found local journalists generally had limited technical AI knowledge and pretty significant ethical concerns about using it for content production.
A broad consensus against using it for content, actually.
Which is striking. Even though adoption levels kind of mirrored their engagement with collaboration and audience participation, the attitude towards AI was much more negative.
They were positive about collaboration and participation, though, even if they weren't doing much of it in practice.
Right. Collaboration was seen positively linked to better journalism. AI was viewed much more skeptically, primarily through an ethical lens.
The study mentioned potential AI benefits efficiency, storytelling, but the risks, especially the lack of ethical guidelines, seem dominant.
And very few news outlets actually had guidelines for AI use. Usage of generative AI for writing was minimal, and satisfaction among users was low.
Yet, they expect AI adoption to increase and worry about job losses.
That classic tension, seeing the trend, anticipating its growth, but feeling uneasy about its implications, and perhaps unprepared for it.
What about collaboration? They seemed keen despite limited experience.
Very much so. A strong willingness, especially for cross-border projects, even if they hadn't done much before. Same for wanting more audience participation, though lack of training was seen as a barrier there.
What were the collaboration challenges?
Things like organization, business model impacts, sometimes reluctance for management, plus ethical stuff like ensuring fairness and respect in collaborations.
And when asked about an AI ethics code for journalism, what came up?
Key themes were preserving the human element, ensuring accuracy, preventing plagiarism, transparency, telling readers when AI is used, and crucially, addressing potential discriminatory bias in algorithms.
Were there differences between countries?
Yes, significant variations in adopting specific tools like AI, SEO, ChatGPT across Spain, Peru, Ecuador, Colombia. But concern about regulating AI was consistently high everywhere.
So the study's main takeaway.
A much more negative attitude towards AI compared to collaboration or participation. Journalists felt public service was a key motivator for collaboration. The big needs identified were for targeted training and clear ethical frameworks for AI and local news.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, wow, AI is really weaving itself into the fabric of so many different sectors: construction, deep research, finance, health, learning, media.
It really is. And what stands out is how deeply technical the integration is becoming. We're not just talking about surface-level applications anymore. It's affecting core processes, model architectures,
Yeah.
risk management.
Driving real gains in efficiency and safety in some areas, while also presenting these complex technical challenges: model robustness, data integrity, explainability, bias.
Absolutely. The pace of advancement in the underlying AI technology itself is just relentless, constantly opening up new possibilities and new questions.
Which brings us to our final thought for you, the listener. As these AI technologies continue to evolve at this breakneck speed, what do you think are the most significant technical hurdles, or conversely, opportunities that lie ahead in these sectors we've discussed? How will the next generation of AI fundamentally reshape their technical landscape?
It's a lot to think about. The interplay between the technology's capabilities and the specific needs and constraints of each industry. That's where the really interesting developments will happen.